there, my name is Affis Mantanic. I'm the bartender at Yellow Door Bistro at Hotel Arts. Today we're going to be making a mocktail called the Big and Bold. Well, we're going to start off with adding a little bit of orange juice, some pineapple juice, some homemade cinnamon syrup. Cinnamon syrup is pretty easy to make. You just grab 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water, 4 cinnamon sticks, and you bring it to a boil, stir, and you're good to go. As well as we're going to be using some store-bought falernum. Falernum is a syrup that is from the Caribbean. It has almonds, allspice, ginger, and lime in it. We're going to be using some lime juice and some grenadine. All right, let's get started. So we're going to start by adding 2 ounces of orange juice. Then we're going to add 2 ounces of pineapple juice. One ounce of lime juice. Half an ounce of falernum. And we're also going to add half an ounce of cinnamon syrup. We're going to add some ice to this. We're going to give it a shake. So you'll know your drink is ready when you see the frost on the side of the tin. And that's when you know it's done. Just give it a crack. And then we're gonna double strain this into our cocktail glass. I'm just gonna give it a top up with some crushed ice. We're gonna float some grenadine on top, just like that. Then we're gonna garnish it with some mint sprigs, a nice little umbrella, and a nice cherry. And there you have it, our Big and Bold. Cheers.
So here we are today to celebrate some of the achievements of the Haskayne School of Business, and I'm delighted and honored to be part of this exercise, and particularly to recognize alumni that have really made their reputation for the school far more than I have. My name's on the school, but the alumni are the ones that have created the impression that is already here. And for the students and those in the future, they're the ones that are going to set the targets because the world is changing dramatically. So I can't say enough thanks to the previous people that started this school, the ones that have made it what it is today, and those that are going to carry that on into the future, because they've done a remarkable job beyond my ever imagining. And they'll do even more from here on in, I guarantee it. So we're pleased to celebrate tonight. Congratulations to the recipients of the award.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, fellow alumni, friends, and honored guests. I'm Kathy Bowie.
And I'm Erica Hughes. And we are business partners and fourth year BCom students at the Haskayne School of Business. It is our pleasure to welcome you this evening.
I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. I would also like to note that the University of Calgary is situated on land adjacent to where the Bow River meets the Elbow River, and that the traditional Blackfoot name of this place is Mokintis, which is now called the City of Calgary.
Thank you all for joining us today for this very special celebration, the Haskayne Alumni Awards. We know this is a unique year, and we'd like to thank all of the alumni who are joining us and watching from home instead of being together in person. As I embark on my final year of studies, I look back with gratitude, as the University of Calgary has given me such a solid foundation, which has enabled me to accomplish more than I imagined. As an accounting major, I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity to start my own business from my unique experience in the Entrepreneurial Thinking 317 class. What started from a personal experience as a mother facing challenges searching for childcare sparked the idea of CareFind. When my twin boys were babies, I experienced frustration in finding immediate and reliable childcare for a job interview. I asked my family and friends and called numerous daycares, which was extremely time-consuming. I was waitlisted for several daycares and could not find 2 spots for one day. In the end, I missed my opportunity as I could not find childcare on short notice. I know this is a challenge for many parents who need childcare to go back to work or school or have an important appointment. I met Kathy in the Entrepreneurial Thinking class, where we actively tested the market and validated various aspects of a lean canvas business model. The coursework led me to understand and apply strategic problem solving, a vital skill for every student pursuing a career. With preparation and advising sessions from instructor Houston Fischel and members of the Hunter Center, we accomplished our goal to compete at the RBC Fast Pitch competition and won first place. Today, CareFind is an innovative and simple way for parents to find childcare. Like never before, parents can search for childcare all in one place. Parents can connect to accredited and licensed daycares, preschools, out-of-school care programs, and approved day homes for full, part-time, and drop-in care. It's an interactive platform to discover unique programs and services, real-time spots, images, and more. Our vision is to bridge the gap between parents and childcare providers by improving and streamlining access to safe and quality childcare and family support services.
Little did I know that my entrepreneurial journey would start in the Entrepreneurial Thinking 317 class. After placing first place at the RBC Fast Pitch competition and from the positive feedback from potential customers, parents, advisors, and judges, Erica and I were eager, motivated, and determined to take a risk in starting a new startup. We chose to participate in the Summer Incubator Program at Innovate Calgary for mentorship and guidance. Over 4 months, we learned how to strategically test the market through effective customer interviews. It wasn't about the interview, but understanding the customers. We then joined 150 startups alongside a bunch of first-time entrepreneurs over a 4-month period. The Lean Startup Challenges and twice-a-week web meetings required me to be resourceful, tested my ability to prioritize, collaborate, and tackle unfamiliar tasks. I couldn't be here today without the strategic thinking I've learned throughout my classes that will help build and scale CareFind, as well as the various workshops, presentations, and guest speakers that inspired me to teach, share my knowledge, network, and seek the guidance and advice from previous Haskayne alumni and speakers. In the near future, we plan to expand our services to mid-market cities, such as Edmonton, as well as implementing virtual tours. We are both excited about graduating and joining the ranks of Haskayne alumni in 2021. Most importantly, this evening is about celebrating 3 incredible Haskayne alumni and gaining some insights on success and leadership in times of disruption. I would like to introduce University of Calgary's president, Dr. Ed McCauley.
Thank you, Kathy and Erica. CareFind is a fantastic example of how entrepreneurial thinking can create new value in our community. We're so proud of what you've accomplished. It's an honor for me to join you, our alumni and friends, for this year's Haskayne Alumni Awards. You supported our university in good times and in challenging times, as volunteers, leaders, donors, and so much more. This means the world to us, and it's because of your commitment that we've just reached an incredible milestone for our university and city. Thanks to you, we've raised more than $1.4 billion through the Energize campaign, the third largest successfully completed campaign in Canadian history. We've shown that Calgarians are capable of unparalleled leadership in a time of adversity. We can transform difficult challenges into opportunities for high-impact research, for meaningful student experiences, for new enterprises and partnerships that will move our society forward. There has never been a more important time for us to play this role in Calgary's comeback, and I want to thank you for making such impact possible. The topics of impact and leadership bring me to the three Haskayne alumni we are recognizing tonight, each of whom has applied their education to transform their communities for the better. These awards are part of a tradition that goes back to 2000, with the first Management Alumni Excellence Award presented to Michael J. Timms. We're delighted to continue this legacy by recognizing another incredible alumnus, Al Monaco, with the 21st Max Award for his leadership in Canada's energy sector. We're also proud to recognize Tara Weber with this year's Rising Star Award and Cole Orobetz with the Big Ideas Bold Leaders Award. Congratulations to all of you. These alumni form a community now over 26,000 strong, hailing from 90 countries around the world. Their journey begins as students at the Haskayne School of Business, guided by opportunities in experiential learning, leadership development, entrepreneurship, and much more. It gives me great pleasure to turn the mic over now to the leader of the faculty, Jim DeWald, who has played such a pivotal role in creating these opportunities for our students. Jim, over to you.
Thank you, President McCauley, and hello to all of you in Cyberland, our precious friends and alumni of the Haskayne School, including Mr. Haskayne himself, who told me you wouldn't miss this event. What a treat to be able to celebrate and honor these three incredible alumni. To start, please recognize members of the award selection committee, Mark Blackwell, BCom 2011, and the 2019 Rising Star Award recipient, Eleanor Chu, BCom 1985, Derek Hunter, MBA 1990, and the 2018 Max Award recipient, Patrick Lohr, EMBA 2001, and the 2019 Big Ideas Bold Leader Award, Thomas Louis, BCom 2006, and Karen McDonald. Thank you for your contribution to this evening and for being champions of the Haskayne School of Business. So here's what's going to happen tonight. I'll introduce each of the three recipients. They will give some comments, and then we will have a panel discussion on disruption, where I would like to include questions from you, the audience member. So get ready, start putting in your questions at any time. But one thing before we start, and I blame this on Brent. He got me thinking, I got to do this right and have a toast. I'm sorry it's not mock, it's real. This is to our award winners. Now let's get on with the first one. The first award of this evening is for the Big Ideas Bold Leaders Award. The award is all about recognizing a Haskayne alumnus who has taken on the challenge of doing something big. By meeting that challenge, this person has created something outstanding or made an enormous impact. When selecting the Big Ideas Bold Leaders Honorary Award recipient, the committee evaluated nominees in the areas of inspiring notable change, motivating others, and enabling positive change in the community. Now, I think this year's Big Ideas Bold Leaders recipient perfectly exemplifies all of these characteristics. Cole Orobetz is co-founder, CEO, and CFO of Alpha Foods. That might sound familiar. Founding the company in 2015, Cole was ahead of plant-based protein wave with a focus on food options that are convenient and, most importantly, delicious. After graduating from Haskayne in accounting, Cole started his career at EY and then moved to Avrio Capital, a venture capital fund focused on making growth investments in food and agriculture technology companies. Well, while at Avrio, Cole was part of an investment team and also recognized as the youngest person to serve on the Canadian Venture Capital Association CFO Task Force Executive Committee. When his venture capital experience in LA business partner with his business partner, Cole was well positioned to seize the opportunity to bring an upstart plant-based food to market. The company had to scale up quickly to serve its first customer, the retail giant Walmart, who took on 4 burritos as a line in late 2017. Now, progress has continued rapidly in both the retail and food service channels, now with 28 retail products in more than 10,000 stores in the US. In late 2019, Alpha Foods expanded into Asia, starting in Hong Kong and partnering with KFC for a launch of the Alpha Chicken and Nugget. This is truly amazing. Dear friends, it is my pleasure, distinct pleasure, to welcome your Big Ideas Bold Leader Award winner for 2020, Cole Orobetz. Congratulations, Cole.
I think Cole has been a real shining example of what is possible.
I think there's a certain kind of honesty required to drive innovation, and Cole doesn't settle for good enough.
The genesis of the idea of Alpha Foods was, if I could enjoy a product made from plants as a lifelong meat eater, then there'd be hundreds of millions of other people out there that could enjoy these products as well. So we've been hard at work for the last 5 years, really building the business and brand in North America. And over the last 12 months, we've actually been able to expand into international markets. We actually launched into Asia last year, and really exciting for us, we landed at KFC in Hong Kong earlier this summer. So that's really exciting to see plant-based really starting to take off around the globe.
You know, Wayne Gretzky has that one quote that says, you know, skate to where the puck is going. And yeah, that'll make you a great hockey player, but what Cole has done here is anticipate where the puck is going, and then he's acted like the general manager and the coach and the captain and the cheerleader, so that everyone, and that's 26 employees at Alpha and our investors and our partners, we're all skating at the same time to where we think the puck is going. And lots of people have big ideas, but in my opinion, it's that leadership that I'm proud Cole's being recognized for.
We have a big idea, we have big aspirations to be a global plant-based brand, but also we need to start small and encourage our consumers and those who love our brand that 1 meal a day, 1 meal a week will have a positive impact on the very strained food system that has been based on animal agriculture and animal protein.
Cole's not the kind of guy who's satisfied with their traditional job. And as successful as Alpha has been, it's not Cole's first crack at innovation. There were also 3D tablets, He was into electric trucks before electric trucks were cool.
Cole was actually one of the first people that I met and one of the first friends that I made when I moved to Calgary. He was running his own business where he was doing like a plastics recycling company, and that's really what helped him fund his way through university. He really has paved a very interesting trail for those of us who have graduated as well as those who are currently in the program. Congratulations to you, Cole. You deserve every second of this and every ounce of this award, and I'm incredibly proud of what you've done, and I'm very excited to see what you will do in the future.
Wow. Well, good evening, everyone. Big thank you to everyone at Haskayne for putting this virtual event on tonight, and also my good friends Sarah and Richard for saying such nice and wonderful things about me. So as you learned from the video, Alpha Foods sells food made from plants. And not in a million years did I ever think as an accounting major that I would go on to selling burritos and nuggets made from plants. And if you Google Alpha Foods, you'll see some pretty exciting headlines. We've raised millions from investors around the world. We've launched at major grocery stores. We've won product awards and so on. But it's been anything but an easy ride to this point. And it's rare that I get an opportunity to tell the story behind these headlines. So I'll share some of these moments with you all tonight at home. Now, since I graduated UC in 2006, I've been let go from 3 jobs. Once after the 2008 recession, once in the energy downturn that started in 2015. And at that time, I had a house and a vacant rental property with 3 mortgages and no income except for some patchy consulting work that was drying up. It was pretty obvious I had to do something pretty fast. But not being fully consumed by the daily grind gave me one thing: space. Space to think, and space to be curious about the future, thinking about where I could really make an impact in the world. And after exploring many avenues, including the electric truck, as Richard mentioned, and tablets and all sorts of dead ends, I thought maybe an MBA was a good idea. But it didn't really feel right to me. So I decided on my own version of a real life MBA. I'd look for a business to start, commit the same time and money as I would on an MBA degree, and know that if it didn't work, that was okay. Failure was actually part of the plan. So a few weeks later, I ended up partnering with one of the entrepreneurs I had met while I was working in venture capital on a simple product that would become the genesis of Alpha. It was a plant-based bagel dog, of all things. So the plan: raise some money, fund the business, and everything would come together like magic. Simple, right? Well, pretty much the opposite happened, and literally everything that could go wrong in that first year did. Only 5 months in, we were on the ropes. We had not raised enough financing, no sales traction, and the bills kept getting bigger and bigger to keep up with all the activity. So I started pouring more and more money in to keep it alive, hoping for something to turn around. Our law firm even cut us off and stopped working. So I took another cash advance off my credit card and paid them so they could get back to work for us. And towards the end of that first year, 5 years ago this month actually, I had 21 bucks to my name and 4 bank accounts, and every credit facility I had fully maxed, including my home line. I was all in. I even started selling some of my personal possessions. Like literally everything in my life was for sale. I sold a cherished guitar and even a used electric shaver on Kijiji for 60 bucks. But I'll never forget trading equity in Alpha for used winter tires I badly needed with my roommate at the time. I was comically broke. And it makes me sick thinking about how expensive those tires were, but also pretty funny that they may have been the most expensive used tires ever sold. Anyways, so the end of the year was approaching and I had to make a tough call. If we didn't get the financing by December 31, I had to sell my house. I was so stressed. I couldn't sleep, I had anxiety, I was a complete nightmare to be around for everyone. Where was I gonna live? Could I even sell the house? How do I move on from here? I didn't know. But in mid-December, some hope appeared on the horizon. A company you may have heard of called Walmart indicated that they might want to take in our burritos. This was the kind of news our investors wanted to hear. But the pain wasn't done yet. Nope. And 2 days before Christmas, our third co-founder walked out and quit. Like, really, man? Now? Are you kidding? Were the investors going to walk? I didn't even know. I wasn't even mad, just disappointed and deflated yet again. So that Christmas was an apology tour pleading with the investors that they should continue to support us. And they did. Like a Hollywood movie, at the last second, the bomb was diffused and we closed financing at 5 p.m. on that last business day of the year. It was quite the finish. So I took a few valuable lessons from that whole ordeal in the first year that I think can be helpful. And especially right now when there's a little bit more turbulence in the world for us all to navigate. First, there's definitely no single path that leads you where you want to be. And sometimes figuring out what you don't want to do narrows down what you should be doing. You get let go from a job, great. It probably wasn't a good fit anyways, and I can attest to that. Move on, refine your path. Second, sometimes pressure and stress can be your best friend. Are all things worth doing going to be pleasant? Probably not. And if I'm being honest, the whole thinking positive thing just doesn't work for me. But what does is thinking of the absolute worst outcome, like having to fire sale my home in a recession in the middle of winter. It's pretty motivating to keep going. And last, out of crisis comes opportunity. And so whether it was nearly losing my home or watching COVID nearly destroy our entire business this year, there was an opportunity to become scrappy, crafty, and more resilient. And I hope that that last word sticks, resilience. Perseverance, grit, whatever else you want to call it, that's really the key. So keep getting out of bed, even on those dark days, and draw from those experiences you've all had to tackle the problem in your way. And in the absence of a how-to manual, you could definitely trust yourself to figure out. And the truth is, I'm not an expert in crisis leadership any more than any of you listening tonight, and I don't want to give you a prescription for how to live. But if you find space in your life right now, I ask you, how can you use it to your advantage to recalibrate where you want to be and where you may want to go? So I hope to hear from some of you on what you've done with this space during this time at some point in the future. Thank you and good night.
Well, thanks so much, Cole. I mean, that is so inspiring. What an amazing story. Truly, really appreciate that very much. Now, I want to just mention to everybody, you've probably got a bunch of questions for Cole, and you can put them in the system right now. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Put in your questions and we'll deal with them. We'll do our best as we move on this evening. Let me move now to the Rising Star Award, which honors those who are taking giant strides in the first decade since graduating from their Haskayne program. We seek young leaders that are driving innovation and industry and contributing to the community right now with the potential to join the prestigious ranks, maybe like a Max Award winner somewhere down the road. When selecting a Rising Star Award recipient, the committee considers the values of leadership, commitment, excellence, integrity, and service. The committee evaluated areas of innovation and industry change, advocacy for higher education, service to the University of Calgary and the Haskayne School of Business, and contributions to the community. Now, I think the selection committee made a spectacular choice this year for the Rising Star Award recipient. Driven to dig into the untold story, Tara Weber first began in the media industry as an intern in the 10th grade. This passion delivered more than a decade of working in newsrooms across the country before she began to contemplate a career change, signing up for the Haskayne MBA program. She capitalized on her teamwork skills, competing in the Innovation Olympics against top-tier international MBA teams and winning the silver prize. Not long after starting her Haskayne MBA, Tara was scouted by BNN Bloomberg for her unique combination of business acumen and media experience. Now, as a Western correspondent for BNN Bloomberg, Tara directs attention to emerging issues and has broken stories that have changed provincial institutions. She's a champion for the Calgary community and a trailblazer, one of the few women who report on energy industry in a big way. We are so proud to have her as a voice for Western Canada. I am so pleased to welcome Tara Weber, our 2020 Rising Star. Congratulations, Tara.
I remember when Tara came in to see me about the MBA program, she wanted to go into marketing and she had a vision for herself for the MBA program. As soon as she was in, she took courses, she decided that she wanted the GEM specialization.
Getting an MBA just made a lot of sense because I could build on the skills I already had and it could be the next step into something really great. But as I was in the position of transferring and transitioning away from my industry, a different part of my industry, which is business news, came and called. And you know what? It actually ended up even being better. And then I realized I didn't want to leave.
I got to know Tara over the past few years really as our expert, our source in Calgary on oil and gas. And I'm always delighted when our producer says Tara's going to be covering that off because I know the job will be done properly and she'll bring her expertise and her perspective to it. I think her love of the province and the city comes through and that lights up her reporting.
She exemplifies the best that Haskayne has to offer. She gives back. She gave back as a student, whether it was somebody going through a hard time and just needed somebody to listen. Tara was always there. She gives back as an alumnus. When students want to meet for coffee, guest speaker in a class.
I've stayed in touch with so many of my Haskayne cohort. I can say honestly that some of my best friends now are from my Haskayne program.
We actually met up on the first day of the first block week that we had together. The reason why we stayed connected is that we have a lot of shared interests. We both care deeply about the community, the Calgary community.
My connection with Tara and the community is through accessible housing, where Tara is on the board of directors and I chair the board. When you meet Tara, you feel her energy, you appreciate what she brings to the conversation because of her outlook, her positiveness. She is very helpful in moving our dialogue forward, knowing that we are focused on the right aspects of how we're delivering our services and having the right impact with our clients.
Tara, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of what you've done in the community. Congratulations.
For me, you're already a star, but I'm glad that you're getting the Rising Star Award. Enjoy your achievement, and I'm excited about your future, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Haskayne, for this award, and it's been amazing. Thanks for putting that video together. Jim, I have a funny story I have to tell you. I remember when I got your message to call you back as soon as possible and that it was really important, I was suddenly worried I was missing some credits and that I might need to come back and finish a course. So I can certainly say that this news, this award, so much better. But seriously, I feel as though my journey has led me straight to Haskayne. It's where I developed the skills that I fall back on all the time, the confidence to know I have the knowledge, and most importantly, as you saw in the video, it's where I've met some of my best friends, some of whom are here with me tonight or watching online. But I'm told I need to talk about myself and my career, so here goes. Other than some short stints working as a lifeguard and swimming instructor, I've always worked in journalism. As Jim said, it goes back all the way to grade 10. That's when I had to choose an internship as part of a career and personal planning class. I ended up doing mine at a local radio station in Kelowna, BC, and I was hooked. But clearly, it hasn't always been a smooth journey. As most of you know who know me, I use a wheelchair. I was involved in a car accident in my final year of high school. I broke my back and spent 5 to 6 months in hospital and rehab. A situation like that makes you find your own resilience, your own perseverance, and really almost reevaluate everything in your life, including what I would do for a living. I didn't know if I could still be a journalist. My parents and family have always been very supportive, and my mom encouraged me to go back to university and just take some courses. So even then, I was drawn to English literature and linguistic anthropology, the basis of many, many lucrative careers. But it was during my undergrad that I received a scholarship and internship to work at a television station in Vancouver. I did that for the summer and I was back in the game. I then hopped in my Volkswagen Golf and drove to Toronto to do a postgrad degree in journalism. I've continued into local and national and television and radio newsrooms. I've had the opportunity to work all over the country, Vancouver, Toronto, Windsor, even some brief stints in Charlottetown and Yellowknife before ending up here in Calgary. It's a really great job. There are very few where you're doing something different every day and getting the chance to talk to different people and hear their stories every day as well. But the industry has changed a lot in that time, even in my brief time. Just for TV, there used to be yourself, a camera operator, an editor. Now a single journalist does it all on the same deadline, but with more deliverables. Now you're filing to radio and web as well. So very much an industry that's seen a lot of disruptions. And almost 2 decades later, I felt as though it was time to do something new. And that's when the Haskayne MBA became an idea and then a reality. As you heard in the video, I really felt as though I was an outlier in the program. All of my colleagues had engineering and finance and business backgrounds. I didn't even know Excel had those kind of functions. But I came to realize that while I may have thought I was weaker or less knowledgeable in some areas, the skills that I'd really downplayed in my own mind were also incredibly important. I help people to communicate what it is they really want to say. I break down complex topics that are sometimes a little bit boring into easily understandable and entertaining ways. And I do it all well on those incredibly tight deadlines, all of which worked incredibly well while surrounded by those type A personalities at Haskayne. At the end of the day, my most valuable takeaway is to surround myself with those who complement my skills and weaknesses. And really, that's what creates the best team. And of course, the importance of networking. If anyone's been in Dr. Bob's class, I know he's here tonight, you know what I'm talking about. Dr. Bob led our group to the Innovation Olympics. We presented a business case to Ingredient in New Jersey. That's what you're seeing here, and we won silver. And while Haskayne drills home the fundamentals, it also expects students to always reflect on ethics, sustainability, social responsibility, and to be a good corporate citizen. And that's something I've taken to heart. I've presented on crisis communications for a few Haskayne business law classes and emceed events for a number of charities and community organizations. I'm also on the board of directors for 2 amazing not-for-profits in Calgary, Accessible Housing and the Kirby Center. These are organizations that provide services that enable those with disabilities and seniors to lead their best lives. So, spoiler alert, I didn't end up leaving journalism after all. By virtue of doing the MBA at Haskayne, it opened up a whole new door in business journalism. I ended up being offered a dream position before even finishing the program. I specialized in GEMS, Global Energy Management and Sustainable Development, and that's what I end up covering almost every day, and interviewing Calgary's top CEOs and newsmakers, as Al Monaco well knows. You'll hear from him shortly. But now I've been asked to provide advice for future and fellow alumni. So I guess I'll just sum up some of my key learnings. Most importantly, don't underestimate yourself. Be confident in what it is you bring to the table. No one has your exact experiences. Surround yourself with those who make you better, both personally and professionally. And always do what you can to help those around you. It really does come back in spades. So I'd like to thank Haskayne for this recognition tonight. It's been a big honor to receive it so soon after I completed the MBA program and to be included in this awesome list of names that Haskayne has honored both tonight and in the past. I'm very proud of what I've achieved to date, but it does make me feel as though I have a lot still to live up to. So the big question becomes what's next? And well, with that, I don't really know. And that would be another and final piece of advice, just to keep an open mind. Every time I've planned on doing one thing, I focus, I strategize, I create my path, and then a better door opens up, one that I didn't know was even there. And that's really where the opportunities lie. So you never want to be so set in one direction that you miss it. So for now, I'll thank you sincerely for this amazing award tonight and continue just enjoying the journey I'm on. Jim?
Tara, well, anybody who doesn't know her, you can now see why we totally love her. All of the people in the school and all of her classmates and all of her coworkers, no doubt. So congratulations, you really deserve this. And listen, I want to take an opportunity here to tell everybody, get those questions in. I see some open real estate that was taken up by Dr. Bob. Nobody's putting in questions, so he's connecting dots between people, which is a very Dr. Bob thing to do. But join in, Bob, with some good questions for Tara and our other guests. Now, let's get on to the big award. The Management Alumni Excellence Award is the highest alumni honor at the Haskayne School of Business, recognizing the outstanding success of Haskayne alumni at the peak of their careers. The first Management Alumni Excellence Award recipient was honored in 2000, and the tradition has continued each year, celebrating the outstanding achievements and extraordinary service of our Haskayne alumni. It is my privilege to present the 2020 Management Alumni Excellence Award to Al Monaco. Al is the president and CEO of Enbridge. He is known as a champion for Canada's energy industry. As a native Calgarian, Al's roots run deep, building a career starting at Home Oil, of course, Dick's firm, earning his MBA at the same time, then moving to IPL Energy, and finally, over 23 years at Enbridge, ascending to his current role, president and CEO in 2012. Since those early days, Enbridge has benefited from Al's leadership. He is influential in both the national and international stage as a member of organizations such as the American Petroleum Institute Executive and Finance Committees, and the U.S. National Petroleum Council and the Business Council of Canada, helping to realize opportunities amidst the transformation being seen in the energy sector. Congratulations, Al. We're so proud that you are our 2020 recipient of the Max Award.
What really inspires me is the responsibility and duty I owe to our stakeholders to make Enbridge even greater. And then what I find also very rewarding and inspirational is the people at Enbridge. Most good leaders will tell you that success really comes through people. And the people of Enbridge couldn't be a better example.
I do recall, there was an investor presentation that he made a number of years ago, and he started out with an image of a cycling peloton and talking about how all the riders support one another to get to the goal of winning a race. And I think that's really the philosophy that Al has thought about in terms of his tenure at Enbridge, but also in terms of his role in the community at large.
Al has been at the forefront of the distribution of energy and the production of energy in a responsible way in our country. He's said to many of those around him, including me, how can I make this more responsible? How can I make our country better, both economically and environmentally? That is who Al Monaco is. Thinks about our country, thinks about environmental sustainability, thinks about economic growth, and thinks about managing and working with all key stakeholders.
Al is a dignified, strong, and principled corporate leader. So Haskayne alumni should look with pride saying, I'm like Al. He's the kind of person that I want to be, and I want to represent the school.
The Haskayne MBA program was probably my most formidable and challenging and noteworthy learning experience I've ever had. Because everybody had a day job, they brought their learnings and their experience from that situation. It gave us a wider variety of opinions. And I found that prepared me extremely well for the realities of the business world.
From knowing Al as a journalist and now as Chancellor of the University of Calgary, I'm so proud to say that he is one of our University of Calgary family, an alum who has achieved great success and set a great example in this city for not just business leaders, but for everybody.
Al, I can think of no one more deserving than you to receive this distinguished award tonight. It reflects who you are as a person and all that you have accomplished in life, both as an individual, with your family, and those who surround you in business and in government. Congratulations.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Jim. And Jim, thanks for your great leadership of the school. I was very lucky to be part of Haskayne, and I couldn't be prouder to be an alumni, although I feel very inadequate after listening to Cole and Tara talk about their history. Thanks to the Chancellor, to Victor, and to Gordon for saying some nice things.
But it's important that I thank my wife, Lori, and it's because of her that I was able to attend the Haskayne MBA. I was in the part-time program and working full-time during the day. Lori, who had her own career, carried a big load in raising 3 kids who we're very proud of. She's been supportive in so many ways, including my current role at Enbridge. I'm going to use the next few minutes to talk about something that's been important to me and we're all talking about today. No, it's not energy, it's not the economy or Canada's future, but it is foundational to all of those things, and that is diversity. Diversity is such a big part of any organization, and in particular, leadership. Today's leaders need to lead on social issues like gender and ethnic and racial diversity. Society expects that, and so do your stakeholders. Who do I mean by that? Employees, communities, customers, and of course, your shareholders. I think about leading on diversity in 2 ways. First, diversity, when you really get down to it, is about fairness and equity, and that should be part of your company's values and your personal values. As a leader, you just can't agree with it. You need to work on it, support it actively, and make it what you stand for and what your company stands for. Leading through fairness and equity and using that lens provides an environment where people feel safe so that they can thrive and grow without worrying about their gender, ethnicity, race, or the group that they belong to. Leaders need to go to school on this because that's the way you become aware of your own biases. I'm a very big believer in training and education, especially at the senior management level and including the board of directors. The biggest learnings that I've had on this topic have come from sitting across from people in the groups that I mentioned, listening closely to their personal experiences, their stories of racism, gender bias, and how they've been marginalized and made to feel inferior and excluded. It's really heart-wrenching when they explain how they really fear for their children because of the biases that they themselves went through, and that's very tough on parents. And it isn't just about the overt acts against people that you see on the news, but it's the microaggressions that creep into day-to-day life. And it's by listening to those people that leaders understand how privileged that they've become in their own lives. We need to watch out for and root out causes and biases and how women, people of color, and other groups experience discrimination. Second, diversity is also about diversity of thought and recognizing it as a competitive advantage in your business. It's very clear from a lot of research that diversity leads to better decision-making, being innovative, agile, and retaining the best employees. You think about this from your own team perspective and how differently you look at a problem when you approach it from different angles around the table. When people have different experiences and backgrounds, diversity of thought translates into better business outcomes, and that is a very powerful thing to have around your table. Final thought. George Floyd's death has had a real impact on society and made people think very hard about this issue. So let me share 5 things that I think leaders can do to make a difference in business. Number 1, be honest about where you're at and admit society is steeped in inequality. There's a ton of evidence to support that. You just have to look at incarceration rates, poverty, representation, and pay for the various groups. Once your people absorb those facts, they buy in that change is necessary. Number 2, before you make a change, though, make sure you know what you're talking about. You do that by speaking directly to the affected groups inside and outside your organization. Listen carefully, ask them questions, but I'll tell you, be prepared to have an uncomfortable feeling. Number 3, educate and train your leadership people to identify and act on unconscious bias. This is not easy to do, but it's really important that we go through that learning. And through those training sessions, again, you will be uncomfortable. Number 4, as leaders, you have to use your voice. Leaders and companies can't solve every social issue out there, but there are some that you need to make your voice heard on. Diversity is one of them. And number 5, less platitudes, more action. Devise a real plan that includes targets and changes to things like recruitment and hiring practices. Then you have to measure your progress and tie the scorecard to people's compensation. So in sum, diversity is about fairness and equity, but it's also entirely aligned with business performance and what your stakeholders are looking from you. I encourage everybody listening here, whether it's within your company or yourselves personally, to think about this in a deep way and how you can make a difference. I thank you for this award. I'm really proud to have received it this evening. You can see it behind me here. Thanks to Haskayne, and as well, thanks again, Jim.
Al, thank you so much. You know, there it is. The student is the master. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Al. Now it's time to bring back all the recipients into one conversation about disruption. To everybody in the audience, this is your chance. Please throw in some questions, any burning questions you have on any of our award winners, and we'll try and get those up and talk about them tonight. You know, before I get to the formal questions, I have one question for Al. And you mentioned you have the award. I wonder if you could just hold it and show the audience here what you've got behind you.
You bet. How's that?
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So Tara, I'm going to start with you. Your life, you interview disruptors, and this session is talking about the idea of disruption. You interview disruptors every day, and you get to meet them before their disruptions prove out. So this raises a few important questions to me, like what are the common traits of disruptors? How do they come to their radical ideas? And is disrupting good business? In other words, does it usually work, or just create a good story for you for a day?
Well, just in terms of common traits of disruptors, I say they're often innovators, they're entrepreneurs, they're bold, they're looking in at an industry and seeing a need that's not being met and deciding to jump in and essentially capitalize on it. So is disruption good for business? Yes, I'd say so for sure. Competition is good for everyone. It keeps everyone on their toes. It makes everyone be at the top of their game and delivering the best product and service that they can. Does it work? Yes, but I mean, at the end of the day, the companies that have longevity, that have been around for a long time, often they're there for that long because they're anticipating disruptions. They often have teams and plans in place in order to meet that, and they can jump on those emerging trends as they're happening. So, I mean, at the end of the day, is it good business? Yes, it addresses a public need. It's raising an issue that the market wants, and that's something that I think is good for everyone.
Okay, thanks. Now, Cole, you're into disruption, and you've actually said that disruption is opportunity and chaos. So I'm wondering, how has COVID impacted your business, and what lessons have you learned during the past few months tied to disruption?
Yeah, well, we had just come off of our raising our biggest financing round to date, based on a very ambitious plan for 2020. So that was the middle of February. And then literally like 3 weeks later, the whole world shut down right when we moved into a new office and hired people. And so we put the entire plan in the paper shredder and started over. We reviewed every budget line item to see what made sense in a COVID world. Marketing, PR, events, operations, HR, everything was on the table and had to make a lot of changes. Supply chains were a mess and being squeezed everywhere. There were shipping delays, production plants were shutting down because of COVID cases indoors. Grocery shortages, as everyone knows, there were no stock on the shelves, and people weren't able to restock them because they were getting sick. So it was a complete mess, and so we had to start producing as much inventory as possible in anticipation of a shutdown. But that said, I mean, we were very lucky as a frozen food brand because people were loading their freezers in fear of food shortages initially, and so that put a lot of pressure on the entire supply chain. But really trying to understand it on a daily basis was the huge challenge for us, because everything was new. And no matter what crisis plan you have in place, I don't know if anyone really got this one right. So, you know, the lessons here, if you're a disruptor, then plan to be disrupted at some point too. Definitely hire people that can be resilient and work in complete chaos. This was really tough on everyone in our company in the first few weeks, especially the new employees. Just a total information vacuum. And so everyone had kind of played a risk manager role that they were not necessarily hired for, but all of a sudden they had to be very deliberate in reviewing the business and communicating with everyone. I think the last one, probably the lesson was, it's okay to be a contrarian. And we doubled our team in the first 4 months of the year and decided to keep everybody on and actually increase our hiring plan while other companies were shedding really talented people. And this was actually something I learned from some of the energy companies in 08, 09 during the crisis then, where the ones that were going to stick around for the long term said, there's a lot of really talented people out there. Let's hire them. We're going to be around for a long time. So we wanted to have the best people ready for when things came back online.
Oh, that's really forward thinking. Good for you. By the way, you really played your card as an accountant by saying get $21, not $20. You don't round it.
I like to count things, true. Yeah.
Al, I got a big question for you. It strikes me that as CEO of Enbridge, like one of the largest companies in Canada, thanks so much to you, you're particularly well placed to address the theme of disruption on a large scale. And the energy sector itself has seen more than its fair share of disruption as a transition to low carbon economy takes hold. Now, you've presided over one of the biggest acquisitions in Canadian history with the 2016 acquisition of Spectra Energy for $37 billion. In recent months, you've faced the dual challenge of demand destruction, which includes low commodity prices and a global pandemic. So it's a double whammy. What's your advice to this group on how to manage disruption?
It's a big question, Jim. Well, let me start with, the big picture. I think it comes down to your mindset. And disruption is going to be a fact of life. You don't know what's going to hit you or the magnitude of it or the timing, but you need to assume bad things are going to happen to you in the business. I think to deal with it, what we've really learned is that you need to be top-notch at scenario planning so that you can dimension the downsides to your business financially and strategically of what's going to happen. And then it's about, and this comes back to what Tara and Cole said, building resilience in your business to withstand those disruptions. And I think the resilience part of it allows you to manage the business, not just to survive, but to thrive and grow coming out of those disruptions. And a couple of specific things to consider here, resilience-wise. First, systems and processes actually matter a lot. And I'm not ashamed to say that we never saw COVID coming. But because we had good systems and we had great people, we turned a very big ship on a dime. We built the systems and processes through experiences with managing floods, fires, and hurricanes. So we weren't starting from scratch, but COVID was different because it affected all of society and our people. So we took some early action to protect the health of the workforce, and that allowed us to actually maintain 100% operations without missing a beat. The second thing is perhaps a bit more esoteric, but it comes around building optionality in your business. And in simple terms, optionality is about creating levers that you can pull when trends emerge that you never anticipated, like disruption to energy markets, like you said. For example, 20 years ago, we had a point of view on the renewables business. And we thought that was going to be a factor in future energy markets. So we invested in a couple of projects before they were popular like they are today. So now, did we know that there was going to be an explosion in wind and solar energy? No. But we were very confident that no matter what would happen in terms of the future, we'd have a very good returning project or two So that's like a low-cost option on the future of energy. And that no-regret action gave us a new platform. And today we've got 24 renewables projects in North America, and including European offshore wind. So I guess back to the beginning of your question, it really comes down in terms of disruption to the mindset you need to have, good systems, and then creating low-cost options in the business.
Wow, that's very insightful. I want to drill down on a couple of things. I've been actually asked to comment on what is my background here, which is the new building under construction at for Haskayne, Matheson Hall. So this is a view of it. I'm not actually there because it's actually a big hole in the ground right now, but this is what it'll look like in a couple of years. You know, Al, I thought that was very interesting. You talk about timing, and I want to ask the other members, you know, how important is timing? Because something looks like a good idea, but if you're ahead of the market, you're in trouble. And I'm going to start with Tara, and I'm going to layer on also, it occurred to me in this discussion that your industry faces a form of disruption with this concept of fake news. Like, how do you feel about that as a potential disruptor? And is there a timing element to that?
Yes, fake news, that's a big topic. And it's something that I see on my Facebook feed all the time. I mean, it's one of those things where I think the media is a bit to blame. We've lost a bit of trust, but at the end of the day, I think there's so much competition as well that people don't know where to turn, and they almost don't know where legitimate news sources are anymore. And that becomes a huge problem as our traditional media gets downsized constantly. And what that means is they're not putting out necessarily as good a product as they used to in the past as well. So, I mean, in terms of timing, it's basically fake news has essentially started up at a time where the media has been weakened. And so it's a good disruptor when it comes on their side, but when it comes to traditional media and legitimate media, it's not so good on that side at all.
Cool. And Cole, what, you know, it seems to me timing was really important just in you conceiving your idea.
Yeah, I think that, I guess for me, it was a personal journey that had started, I piqued my interest in plant-based foods, and it wasn't easy being in Calgary. Ate a lot of steak and chicken and other animal products there for many years, so it was kind of new to me. But it had started popping up. I was seeing it in food companies in bits and pieces, and I think that we were one of the handful of companies that were in kind of a next wave of plant-based food products. And now there are dozens of competitors that are entering this space. And so we were probably a year to two ahead of this last wave, which has been, we were very fortunate in getting the real estate that we did on retailer shelves and having so many products in the marketplace, because it's really cemented our brand as one of the first of the new waves. The plant-based food products have been around for a while, but there's only a handful of newer brands that have the distribution and reach that we do today.
So first mover is an advantage.
Yeah, I think I remember one of the innovation courses I took at U of C, and there's that concept of bleeding edge or leading edge. So you can catch the wave too early and fall down, but I still think that we're on the right side of that, and we've caught a surge, and it's something that is not going away anytime soon. This is not a fad. This is a transformational shift in the food system, the way that people consume food now.
Excellent. Al, this is a question from the audience, and it goes, Al, I think you're talking about leading with diversity is so timely right now. What do you think students should learn about diversity and leadership in the classroom? How should schools approach this purposefully?
Well, that's a great question. I think schools are actually set up quite well for this already. If you think about what happens in the cohorts, and whether it's reviewing business cases or so on and so forth, you're basically getting together in small groups and you're listening to people's points of view. And I think that really trains you to become aware of people's positions, and you debate respectfully and you argue a bit, and then you come to a resolution. So I think it gives you a very good view on how to actually collaborate and get things done through diversity of thought. And again, I go back to my comments I made earlier. I've seen, around our leadership table, people coming at problems and solutions from totally different angles. And through that process, diversity of thought, and as I said, diversity of experiences in particular, you really come down to nail a solution in the best possible way. I'm really convinced that having that diversity around the table is great in any situation.
Okay. This is a question in the sent by an attendant, and I wish I would have thought of it. It would have made my life a lot easier. Tara, I want to know, because you are an interviewer, what you would ask Cole and Al on the topics that they brought forth.
Ooh. Okay, so first, I guess I'd have to go with Al. Sorry, Al. But when we talk about diversity, that's something you've been talking about tonight. What things do you put in place within your own organization to ensure that that happens and that it happens at the upper levels as well?
Yeah. Well, this is, by the way, how come you're asking me another question? This is like deja vu. I have to say it has a lot to do with what I said earlier about the listening part. So as we thought we were always pretty good at diversity, but when you really get down in your organization and you start listening to people of color, Indigenous people, gender, on the gender side, you really get to understand one-on-one what they've experienced. And as I said in my remarks, to me, that's the only way you're really going to figure out how the other person is perceiving things. And I really think that working on diversity, again, is linked to the business in many ways. And again, it comes down to fairness and equity. And I think we all have to believe in that.
Okay. By the way, Tara, before you ask Cole a question, I'm going to let Al know that he'll get a chance to ask you a question, but go ahead.
Oh, now I'm in the hot seat. Okay, so I get to throw one at Cole now. And I guess I still want to stay on the diversity track. Cole, you're a younger company, so obviously you don't have as big of a team, but when you go towards trying to build that team, how important is diversity to that, and what role do you think it can play?
It's huge, and I think that I would say the majority of the company is probably under 40. We have I would say a more progressive mindset, and I think even in pitches to retailers and other investors, they will ask about diversity deliberately, and I think it's something that we are now getting out in front of, just to give them some color as to how we've built the organization. We have a diverse board, and our board is also has been for a couple years now. Even in a small company, when we were less than 15 people, it was something that they wanted to make a priority and ingrain in our culture of onboarding and looking for diverse talent. Not obviously we want great talent, but talent can come from diversity as well. And having a company that's based in 2 countries, the US and Canada, we do have a fairly wide mix of people. I can't say that there's any one group or gender that overpowers the other. So I think for a young company that's growing like crazy, we've done a good job to this point, and it is something that we are very cognizant of.
Okay, Al, did you want to take a free shot?
Sure. Thanks, Jim. I guess, Tara, from and we heard this in a prelude from Mr. Bell, you're known to have covered a lot of energy discussions in your past. And maybe from your point of view, what do you think the energy industry can do generally as a space, and learn from other industries about how to communicate the vision and the importance of what one does when maybe you're not as exciting as some of the other stories that you hear today?
That's a really good question. This is something that I think the industry struggles with a lot when we talk about oil and gas. At the end of the day, they don't have the friendly animal pictures or the really cute messaging. And it is difficult sometimes to get that sort of traction and to get the importance of what they do out to the general public, because it is really important. And I think there is a lack of knowledge that really needs to be addressed. And I find it hard sometimes as a journalist, I can tell you, because if something has happened that I need to cover and say a company, not Enbridge, but another one doesn't say get back to me, sometimes I feel as though I need to say their side of the story as well. At the same time, I'm getting all of the influx of PR releases from, say, a lot of the environmental groups. And so it's not my job to protect the industry. And I don't want to, I have to stay very unbiased, but I'm trying to give both sides of it. And I think sometimes that's where we fall flat. I say we, but I mean Alberta and the industry here, just because they do have a message and they do sometimes have topics they need to address. And sometimes it's really important things that they could be saying that, you know, why they made a decision they made, because it was a smart decision, but they're not necessarily getting that message out. And I think that is an area that still needs some work. But overall, I think people are becoming a little more energy literate, but there's still a long ways to go.
Well, I'm going to make a note and get back to Tara right away.
Your guys are good. Tracy and Jesse.
Cole, I have a question here in the open questions. By the way, thanks everybody. We've got tons of questions on, which is super. Cole, who is your biggest inspiration?
I don't think I could name any one individual. This will be sound a bit strange. I would say anyone who has doubted me would be my biggest inspiration. It just somehow it gets under my skin and kind of it kind of fires me up to go and achieve what I need to achieve. And there's been many people along the way that have probably doubted me or been a bit of a roadblock. So I could sit here all night and name all of the people that have inspired me. Obviously, family, friends, professors, colleagues at work, and students that I went to at UFC. But I think it's like that make your haters your motivators. I think that that resonates with me anyways. It has gotten me a little bit further down the road each time.
Good. Great question. So I'm going to share that question. Tara, who's your biggest inspiration?
Oh, now I want to steal Cole's answer. I don't actually have one. I really love the haters or motivators. In terms of motivation, I think just seeing other people doing really well or beating the odds or creating something that's pretty fantastic that makes you up your game. I think all of that is a bit of an inspiration. But in terms of a particular person, I don't necessarily have one.
Okay, Al, and I should just tip off that the first two didn't get it. You're supposed to name a professor, but who is your biggest inspiration?
You know, hear me out on this. It's going to sound like it's a stock answer, but it really is my parents, and here's why. I think some of you may know that my parents immigrated to Canada back in 1952, and you know, you think about coming to a brand new country with no money, no education, and no language. And so when we think about the accomplishments that we have and how hard we worked, I think we all feel like, geez, you know, I really went through a lot. But I'll tell you, if you put yourself in my parents' shoes back in 1952, it's a whole different ballgame. So I'd have to say what inspires me and I guess made me work hard was just knowing the sacrifices that they went through for us.
Wow, those are all great answers. Now, I have a last question for each one of you. And here's how it goes. Each year, I survey our incoming BCom students, and I ask them why they choose to go to a business school. About 90% of them say because they want to make a difference in the world. Personally, I find this very heartwarming. And some of those students will be watching right now, or they'll certainly be able to see this afterwards. So I want to ask you, as a person who is truly making a difference, you are making a difference, what role did your business education play in your success? I'll start with you, Cole.
Yeah, great question. I think a business education is really an excellent foundation for how any organization or system works together. You get to learn all the different areas in detail. but also understand kind of how they fit together as a whole. And I think this can be applied to anything, on small projects, starting a business, or working with gigantic companies. That is applicable. Second, definitely the people that you meet and the relationships you forge can be a huge resource in your future career or life. You might be job searching or looking to hire people, and maybe you went to school with someone in the past. And I could say right now, at least 5 of the people that I went to Haskayne with almost 15 years ago are involved with Alpha right now and part of our success. Last, I think just being around so many smart and driven people from different backgrounds will really drive you to succeed and strive to do better. That ambitious energy is really infectious, and I think the competitive environment and being around that can really kind of upgrade your skills and operating system for the real world and anything that the future throws at you.
Great, thanks. Tara?
I guess for me, it was pretty pivotal. It was at a time in my life where I was ready to leave my industry completely. And I ended up not doing that just by virtue of being in the program and it opening up new opportunities for me. It also gave me a really good basis of knowledge in an area that I hadn't really done a lot of work on, and that being energy. I'd focused a lot in business and real estate in some of my previous reporting, but I'd never focused and done a deep dive on the oil and gas sector. And it really allowed me the foundation to do that. Not only was I reporting on it during the day while I was working, but I was also learning about it at night. So I was double whammied for quite a number of months there, I think about 2 semesters. And so I think it was a really great way to just get that full enveloped experience. And then even what Cole was saying, when you're in this group and everyone around you is doing exciting things and they are all at certain levels of their own jobs, it is inspiring and it helps you move faster and work harder and have people that you want to bounce those ideas off of. All of that is really helpful. And I think sometimes it's even just going back to school and achieving those 3 letters. It is something that makes you feel better and that you can accomplish more things. So I would say all of it has helped me out immensely.
Fabulous. Al?
Okay, well, I use the Haskayne business education experience, and for me, this is pretty clear. It was the cohort that I was part of, because in the part-time program, you were essentially with a small cohort of people through the program. And what it did for me is really emphasize the benefits of collaboration, focusing down on something that had to be done, and really emphasize the power of a group, as I was mentioning before. And groups that work well together, and we had some great groups that debated things, argued about things, and then came to decisions. I thought that was probably the one thing that prepared me extremely well for my role at Enbridge. I always liked the theory and the academic part of the business education because that's foundational for sure. But combining that with the business case review and sort of the real world part of it made it perfect. And the fact that I was working during the day helped me to put these things into practice. So that's why it was good for me for sure.
Wow. I have to say first, thank you so much for all 3 of you for participating in this. And that's very inspiring what I just heard, because it talks about people. And it brings me back to when we started this evening and Mr. Haskayne said, I'm fortunate to have my name on the school, but it's the people that go to the school, that are students that get to know one another, that work together to build a great city. That's what really counts. It's all about the people. And you just really proved that out with all of your comments tonight. I wish we could talk a lot longer, but we must wrap up this outstanding discussion. So thank you to the 3 of you for your outstanding insights. Thank you to our audience for submitting such great questions. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get to all of them. We've got many more opportunities for you to engage with business leaders at upcoming events. So stay connected with us or get involved as a volunteer. We have a website now. If you just Google Haskayne School of Business, get involved. Get involved. That's all you have to say is get involved. and you'll get all that information, how you could be a mentor, advisor, speaker, judge for case competitions, and many, many more. As alumni, you can make a big impact. So check out the Haskayne website and search Get Involved to be connected to opportunities. Now, I'll hand it back over to Kathy and Erica, our outstanding students, to close this wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim, and congratulations to all the award recipients. We are truly inspired by your stories and your messages. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this evening's program and look forward to seeing you next fall for the 2021 Haskayne Alumni Awards.
I would also like to congratulate this evening's recipients. And for all of you watching tonight, your feedback is so valuable. Please make sure to complete the very brief survey after the event. Thanks again, and have a great night.